Hi, I'm Danny Black, and welcome to the At Sportsball podcast. On this podcast, I will be talking sports cards, collectibles, memorabilia. I'll be interviewing hobby guests. I will be talking about my own thoughts. I'll cover regular sports that relate to the hobby. That's the fun part. More importantly, I want you along for the ride. So click like and follow for more content, and I hope you enjoy the episode. Well, welcome. I'm hiding down here in the corner because we're doing two intros today. We're going to do my intro, and then, of course, we have to, in honor of our guest, make sure we give you the Eric Gagne. We're going full minute here. I mean, does that not get you pumped up? This is awesome. All right, we're going to welcome in Stephanie Mama Breaks. Welcome to this Sports Ball podcast. Thanks for being on.
I thought you were going to say welcome to the jungle.
The rally monkeys are out.
To the what?
To the jungle. That was Eric Gagne's walk-up song.
No, I know. I was going to play just the song, but him running in with the lights and everything, that was so cool.
Oh, yeah, those were the good old days.
Definitely one of the best closer run-ins ever, and I know you're a Dodger fan, so I figured you were definitely a Gagne. I know you're a Gagne fan, so welcome. And that's the first time I've done a custom intro for somebody, and so I am learning quickly how to use the software, and hopefully that worked. I met you face to face at the industry summit. I think for the first time face to face. You are on the West Coast, I am on the East Coast. And one of the nice things about the hobby is kind of geographically things are getting mishmashed. I just want to start out very plainly. What part of the country did you actually grow up in? And, kind of like what was your geographical growing up like? What cities?
Okay, yeah. I grew up in inner city Los Angeles, so I would have to say if you've never been there, it's around the downtown area. I guess you can call it South Central. So that's where I grew up, very close to Dodger Stadium, right by the Staples Center. So,
were there your whole life, and now you're still in California?
Yes, my entire life, and now I technically live on the outskirts of LA, so in the Inland Empire. So definitely been around all over LA, I think, throughout my life.
I was about to say, I know how much of a fan you are, but I didn't realize how blood and loyal this goes back. That's absolutely genuine. So, okay, so in LA your whole life. So growing up, who were the players for you in different sports? Like who were your guys? Who were your girls? Who were the people?
Yeah, so growing up, actually, my dad was a big soccer fan. So we grew up watching a lot of Chivas, Galaxy. We went to a lot of Galaxy games. Galaxy games were probably the first sport, like actual live sport I saw, maybe once or twice growing up. And it wasn't until I met my stepdad when I was around 9 years old is that I really started going to live sports games. And I went to my first Dodger game when I was 9. So.
Very cool. Silly question. Where do the Galaxy play, and how far into the city is it?
I want to be completely honest. I don't know where they play now, but back then it was in Anaheim at around the StubHub Center, so like around Angel Stadium. Yeah,
that's what I was wondering, because I know that they've been very successful, and I know that market down there just seems to be able to support 400 teams, and I never know how. And actually, we can get into this. I mean, it's rolled over into card shows. The Southern California, specifically, card show scene is absolutely ridiculous. And I guess since we're talking cards, we might as well talk about it. I'm getting shamed by my friends in Texas for not spending more time in Texas. I'm getting shamed from my friends in California for not being in Southern California. And all my Northeast vintage elitist old baseball friends say you never leave the Northeast for baseball cards. What has your experience been regionally as you've kind of been in the hobby?
Well, I tell everyone that SoCal is the place for cards. I mean, I've been able to grow as much as I have, I think, because I've gone to card shows. and because I've gone to so many car shows here, if I never did, Culture Collision, if I never did the National, I still have never done Dallas.
Me neither.
And
Yeah.
I think, yeah, here in LA, I've been able to do big shows without really having to drive more than an hour. So
I was about to say within an hour or two, how many shows a year I mean, decent sized shows can you get to?
I can get, well, the Burbank show's about an hour from me. The Union Marketplace shows in Delmar about an hour from me. And
Those are
then
good shows.
they're awesome. Those guys, I really like them. And the past year or so, I don't, and he doesn't do them as much anymore, but the cardstock trading show in Van Nuys was pretty big for a while too.
Right. I remember that. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I have the Philly show, which is like 90 minutes north, and then the Chantilly show, which is 90 minutes south. And each of those are 3 times a year. So we don't get a lot outside of that, but we get 6 good shows.
Oh,
Um, yeah, without having to go to New York because I'm in Baltimore, so it's like a little bit of an in between type of thing. So I'm very jealous of any city that gets that much, stuff nearby. We have, and I don't want to name them, maybe 5 card shops within 45 minutes tops. I mean, how many are card shops prevalent? I mean, with all, obviously Rob and Burbank, but in general, within 45 minutes or an hour, do you have more than 5 shops?
yeah, I can think of six off the top of my head.
Okay. So,
I'm
right.
sure we have more.
Yeah. And half of mine are probably 1/3 cards, 2/3 signed pictures. So,
Yeah, well, and you see, what's another thing that's incredible is that we not only have Burbank sports cards, but we have the bullpen. So it's
right.
like any card, any single card that you can ever think of, Rob has it. Any box of wax that you can think of, Mitch has it at bullpen. So
That, I mean, first of all, I hope you know how spoiled you are, okay? And I didn't want to start off like we're starting off. I'm calling you spoiled. By the way, this is fantastic way to do a podcast. But you are so lucky.
yeah,
Um, I,
I know.
I mean, there's one shop that does a great job with singles, but I really don't get that locally, which is one of the reasons I go to the shows. So good on you. And clearly, I need to get out there and check out the card scene down there. I guess I got to decide between Dallas and LA for now. Um, so that's very cool. So you're LA sports fan. Um, Growing up, your career goals obviously were to work in this hobby. I mean, what else, would you ever want to do? So, what were the plans, and were they your plans, or were they kind of like some of us were? We fed into plans that maybe were not our love.
No, you know what? Ever since I was younger, my mom's a teacher, so I kind of wanted to be a teacher. But as soon as I graduated high school, I know one thing led to another. I wasn't playing sports, which I wanted to at the time, and for several reasons I couldn't. I was working full time and going to school full time at 18. And I just decided that, if I wanted to be a responsible adult, I had to go to school to get a job, and that was teaching. And in between that, I started working for Costco, and I worked there for a long time. And once I had my kids, I figured I'd try teaching again. And once I tried teaching is when this all happened. So
Um, Couple things. First of all, one of the traits in every great dealer I've ever met is a work ethic. So it does not surprise me at all that what the business of what you do is actually far less glamorous and far more work than interviews and podcast. And I think not everybody realizes that. You're not a handle. It's a job. And it's not a type of job you obviously felt was a part-time job. So when you talk about, kind of like I did it too. I was in between my sports lives. I did 17 years of a custom closet family business company. Um, my passion was not custom closets. And I got to a point when I had kids where it was important for me to do what I love, to be happy and set an example for them. But it's hard as heck. I mean, I still need to contribute to the family and bring in a paycheck. What How have you handled those pressures, kind of like that decision process, or was it kind of like I was, it was just a matter of being, doing what you love?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you a lot. And this is what I love. I love that question because this is a message I think I don't speak enough on that I love to speak about in person. And I tell people is that it's not an easy decision whatsoever to decide to do this full time. You really need to have different things that you do, especially if you're on your own. Breaking, selling on eBay, selling at shows, buying collections and selling singles and all of that. But even more than that is that the biggest reason why I'm able to do this is one because my husband has really good health insurance.
So does
So
my wife.
I mean, I don't know how leaving teaching and leaving state insurance would have been big for us if my husband didn't have his on his own, and luckily he has a really good job where I can don't have to worry about that here. And second, like you said, it's really important to me to show my kids that they can be successful in what they love to do. And it's every day just grinding and trying to figure out how to make the most of this, making content and, making mistakes and just, yeah, like you said, working hard every day to try to figure this out. So,
Yeah, I mean, to take some of the glamour out of it, my afternoon is going to be two carpools, a basketball practice, returning a rental car. So that is my husbandly father somewhere in the middle of my workday, and then continue to work to nightness. I can only imagine you have your version of the same type of stuff on a regular basis. It doesn't matter what age your kids are. Your first responsibility is, whatever fire they have. And I think that's one of the challenges for anybody who works with children. But this hobby is not a 9 to 5 job. Would you say, for me, that's one of the weirdest things is people in different time zones that I get texts from at all hours. Just the hobby kind of loves each other enough to do that. I mean, do you get that on social, or people will, send you messages at all hours?
yeah, and like you said, this is countrywide. So we have friends. I have people that I talk to every day on the East Coast, and I'm all the way over here. So definitely, it's
Have you made a new circle of friends, like a true circle of friends, not just the people you say hi to, but people you really keep in contact with?
absolutely
Yeah,
people that I talk to every single day.
it's one of the coolest things. Because especially in this hobby, when you don't need something from anybody and they don't need something from you, and you can just have a friend who gets what you do. To me, those are like a you know worth their weight in gold. So shout out to everybody who I probably complain and bitch to, and vice versa. That is when people talk about hobby community support. I think that's a big part of it, is that we're in this together. Um, and I guess, how have you adjusted to being maybe a shyer person before you were a dealer to now? Um, Quite frankly, you have to be very animated and enthusiastic
Mhm.
to do what you do. I mean, the numbers just show it. If you're not enthusiastic when you sell, and whatnot, you're not going to do well. So how do you take that persona with genuine friendship from what you expected when you got into the hobby?
I mean, on that note, I wanted to say, like, if you're out there and you feel like you're alone in this, please reach out because it's so important, like you said, to have a friend to vent to. And those, like, constructive criticisms from people for me about enthusiasm, because I'm a very calm person. If you meet me in person, I have a low voice and I speak very calmly and slowly. It's something that I definitely have to acknowledge when I'm doing a live and being a little more upbeat. And that's genuinely who I am inside. It takes a little bit of it for me to do it because I think as collectors we're all a little bit introverted for the most part. You definitely have to try and do it, but that's why it's so important to have a friend to have that constructive criticism, to build each other up, to hype each other up. It's the best thing. So if you don't think you do the greatest in your streams or something, invite a friend and tell him to help hype, tell him or her to help hype you up, and that
Okay.
makes a
Well,
difference.
then I'm going to call you on this. By the time this airs, I've probably already finished. So maybe we can look back in hindsight at your advice, and we'll see how I did taking your advice. For those of you who don't know, I'm doing my first whatnot tonight, what that sale room. You got to teach me all this. I'm learning.
Stream, show.
Stream.
I think
Okay.
show is the term they use. So
Okay. Well, I'm doing my first show and it's being streamed, so we'll do that. I am my niche for whatnot. They told me is to be old and baseball, and not be basketball or football. So tonight is soccer and baseball night. So we are doing a lot of soccer and baseball because screw it, it's my stream or my show, and I get to do that. So what should I know going in? I'm a loud person, but I don't know everything about every card. I want it to be a fun experience. You know, I mean, it seems like I have to enter 4,000 things in. How relaxed am I going to be? How nervous am I going to be? How bad is this going to be? What should I expect?
definitely have everything in before you start. Adding stuff in the middle of the lives is very stressful. So you want to be prepared in every way that you can. Have every single listing up as specific as possible. It helps.
So
And
just my theory of just writing Clayton Kershaw card, not good.
that's actually very specific compared to some that just say raw card number one, raw card number two. So
Okay, okay. This is I see. I'm learning. Thank you. Okay.
so definitely have all that up. Have everything by you and prepared and labeled. You need post-its. You need a pen. You need an area to lay cards in right next to you. You have that right. If you
So
have someone to help you,
my wife is going to leave me for doing this. I can't believe I'm about to do this. So I'm on one table, and we are working on the table over there to set up our camera for product. So I will dual camera from where I am and the product table. Do you think that's? You think I got a shot?
so you're not handling the product.
Well, it'll probably be singles. I'm not doing any breaks. So it'll
Okay.
just be singles. I'm going to have my little easels so they can be rotated by my staff of unwilling children.
Oh, so your children are handling the cards.
Well, they're all protected. I mean, you're
Oh
making this.
no, no,
Yeah.
I mean like you're not the one putting them up there. It's
Well,
specific.
I'm going to have the order picked out. So all they'll have to do is rotate them. Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that works. I think for me personally, it's easier for me to just be in front of the cards. You can do
Well, now I'm
the
totally
camera
nervous.
right in front of you. They even have a feature now where it's dual camera. Your front-facing camera on your phone can actually show your face while your phone shows the product. So
All right, I got to redo all my technology now. I have like 8 hours to redo all my technology. We should have done this. I should have done this like 2 months ago with you. Okay, so I want to have everything listed in advance, not done it all yet. I want to have the proper technology set up, not done it all yet. What else am I missing out on?
lighting.
That I can actually do. My wife is a trained photographer. By tonight, that will be worked out because
I
it'll be.
have one of these, and I have one of these.
I, I, I mean, I feel like this is a competition. I have a little
Oh
bit,
yeah,
yeah.
that's good.
But once again, my wife is far more talented. She does social media and digital marketing, and is a trained film photographer. So she really had to learn lighting before automatic buttons. So she's my savior.
There you go.
Okay,
So I'm
so
gonna need to go to your stream to learn a little bit about that. I still am learning when it comes to that.
first of all, I want everybody to come to my stream. Whatever you do, just come open minded. Remember, I mean well. Okay.
Yes. And
Yes.
that's my last point, and the most important is completely be yourself and have other people in mind. Just remember they're not numbers, they're not sales, they're not transactions. There are real human people that are popping up on your screen that not only like the same things that you do, they're going to be looking through baseball and soccer to find some cards. They genuinely, want a good deal like anybody else does, and they want someone to make them feel like a part of something. So you really need to make sure that you're focused on them and helping them feel comfortable about being in your room. Yeah.
I shouldn't tell them that I'm sad I'm losing the card.
No. Well, I mean, I do sometimes if you're being
Right? Like
honest.
there's
Yeah.
cards I know that I'm going to try to sell tonight. I'm like, I kind of love that card. Like, it's not a PC. It's definitely for business, but like, I kind of love that card. I'm trying to think like, should I just buy it for myself? I think that's like,
Definitely.
I don't think that's a good formula to make money on whatnots to buy them all myself.
No, not at all.
Okay. Well, as the sun comes in, we're going to wrap up. I've already taken up too much of your time. Last question I really wanted to hit you with was your career goals now moving forward. Because I've watched interviews you did a year ago, and every kind of prediction you gave came right on the hobby and the industry. So I now want to hear from the Nostradamus of cards. Where do you see yourself, and where do you see the hobby going forward?
In how many months is it? Or
Well, I'll say 5 years. We'll go crazy. You can make up,
5 years?
right? Nobody will be able to check your work.
Wow, 5 years for me personally and the hobby.
Yeah.
Well, I think it goes without saying. This is just a trend that I've been seeing in the past 6 months. Is a ton of more women in the hobby, for sure.
Yes.
And my personal goals would be to, help the facilitate that however much I can, and making more content and just yeah. Mm, it's hard to say for me right now because I've talked about that with a lot of people, and it's kind of we're kind of unsure what's going to happen with the hobby even in the next year with everything going on. But I hope that it's a lot more inclusive to women and kids. And where my heart is for the hobby is connecting more families together. So this being more like a family hobby.
As somebody who tries to take as many of my kids who will go to every show I go to, I could not agree more to the people who have been good to my kids at shows. They're the reason that my kids want to keep coming back. And a lot of them are mutual friends of ours. Shout out to Black Jade Wolf and Sharon, who totally made my son show and hooked him up with some Pokemon. And for an 11-year-old, I mean, that's the whole show. You know, meeting Lawrence Taylor wasn't as cool for him. So it really, and I'll give another thing to people in general. If you're sitting on commons and junk wax and you don't know what to do, donate them to a local card shop to give to kids for free. You'd be surprised how many local card shops will take that deal. And my only rule I always tell them is don't sell them and only give them to kids. And usually that's a good way to, if you just have commons instead of throwing them away, that I like to try to help kids with that. The other thing is you mentioned women in the hobby and inclusiveness as I'm playing with the sun here today. Uh, I'd like to see the hobby be more inclusive, period. You name a group that other than old white men, um, it's underrepresented. So I'll say it if nobody else wants to. It's a shame. We need good, smart, passionate people, and that doesn't have a demographic. So it's enough of worrying about, pissing contests and the days of corporate pushing around and three companies running everything is gone. When you see big money come in and you see big venture capital, well, I got news for you. There's only one demographic that's going to matter moving forward, and that's the color green. And so the sooner every company wants to acknowledge that, and the sooner everybody wants to, grow our market and include people of all different kinds, the sooner you're going to be profitable as a company. And the longer you want to be a dinosaur and exclude people, the longer you're going to have a smaller market. So you can look at it as a human being, you can look at it financially, but I feel very strongly. It's not why I had you on today, but you got me going.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Anything else you want to add where people can find you? I know we talked about whatnot. Every Friday night, by the way, is Star Wars with you.
Yes.
My daughter has let me know because I won't front the money for her, so I think you're going to end up with some of her babysitting money. So she's been saving up, but I know every Friday night is Star Wars. What is the rest of your schedule?
Um, Still trying to figure it out,
Don't
but
don't you have Chrome coming up?
I do have a Cosmic Chrome case break tomorrow, and then I'm working on an Allen Ginter half caser too. So
Love Allen and Ginter.
yeah,
You
there's
can
some
find
awesome stuff in the
the most
non-sport
crazy.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, well, softball fan.
Mhm.
So I have a little bit of a vintage.
Nice.
I call this vintage softball. I don't know if there is such, but
I
I'm
have
making it. I'm making a new niche that like nobody knows exists, and it makes me sound like an expert in it. So
yeah,
vintage softball.
yeah, I know where okay, so what's the modern softball? That's a question I have.
Well, I'm drawing a blank on her name. Who swept the College World Series this year?
Or do we have cards?
Well, now we got a fanatics conversation. Are we getting into the business side of this? Does she have an NIL? I mean, where are we on this? Um, no, I mean that's a real conversation. That's one of the reasons. I mean, my Jenny Finch rookie is some sort of random company tearaway because there was not a major brand back then.
Let me
So
see where mine is. This is the her Allen and Ginter, her first Allen and Ginter auto out of
that
10.
is a much better looking card. I mean, mine is like worse than SI for kids with the perforation and everything.
Yeah,
And
but those
since we're
are
doing
awesome too.
vintage, how about Lisa Fernandez auto? And back when it was a real patch, not never used at anything but the gift store patch. Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm actually getting ready for whatnot, and I was deciding if softball should go with the baseball. These are all the decisions. This is my first time, but um, so we'll see. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you,
Stephanie,
Danny.
you're a pleasure. Hang out in the backstage for 1 minute. To everybody else, thank you for watching another episode of Sports Ball, and I'll catch you next time.